Okay, Scott, whenever you're ready, I'm good.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is the August 17th, 2022 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. My name is Scott Heenan. I'm the zoning hearing examiner for the city of Cincinnati today, and I will be presiding over this hearing. Case before us this time is case number ZH20220113 involving 954 E McMillan St. Purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. The public will have an opportunity to speak after the applicant has presented its case. If there is more than one person opposing an application, those persons should decide among themselves the length of time each will have to speak. If an opposition group is in attendance, I may request that a spokesperson be chosen to speak on behalf of the group. If the applicant is represented by an attorney, the applicant's attorney may cross-examine any person who has testified at the hearing. If a party of record is represented by an attorney, the attorney for the party of record may present witnesses after the applicant has presented its case and may cross-examine any person who has testified at the hearing. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to an application, the applicant shall have an opportunity to rebut the testimony and/or argument offered in opposition. After the applicant has been given an opportunity to rebut any testimony and/or argument offered in opposition, any attorney for a party of record will have the opportunity to make a closing statement. Finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make a closing statement. After presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions can be expected usually within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony or documents. That means evidence you want to introduce that consists of a statement made by a person who is not present at this hearing, or a document that includes the statement of a person who is not at the hearing. In the event of any technical difficulties with the video conferencing technology, I may continue or postpone this hearing at my discretion. Since we're doing this virtually, we don't have a sign-in sheet. I have down, though, that with us today is Jim Gellis, Trey Sheldon, Jason Chamley, Kara Vajanovich, I hope I said that right, and Joe Bodkin. With that, I will turn things over to the applicant.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for giving us this opportunity. We're excited about this project because, and how it will contribute to the rejuvenation of activity along East McMillan Street. Paramount Launch is designed as a place for residents and visitors to live, work, and shop in Walnut Hills, as well as to gather and celebrate the neighborhood's heritage. The variances that we've requested will enable us to fulfill the vision, not only of the form-based code, but the community development plans, some of which include the master plan by Yard and Company, the Walnut Hills Market Study, Analysis, and Strategy, and the Walnut Hills Reinvestment Plan. These variances will accommodate the proposed amenities and accessibility of the project to make it a quality development that we all desire. And if you want, I can go through the individual variances, but very quickly, they are to increase the width of the lot along McMillan Street in order to accommodate a public pedestrian plaza, to increase the overall width of the building so that we can achieve the desired density and stay within 5 stories. We also want to increase the maximum floor height above the street center line. This is along the first floor, in order to maintain and provide an accessible space within the retail or the commercial portion of the buildings. And we also want to increase the maximum depth of an accessed shop front entry, and that's to allow greater flexibility for future retail tenants on the first floor. And then we also finally want to increase the maximum distance between window glazing, basically widen the piers in the center portion of the first floor from 2 feet to 2 feet 4 inches in order to achieve the goal of making the building appear as 3 separate buildings instead of one large massive building. And with that, I'm open for questions.
I had, the only thing I had a question on is for the distance between the window glazing.
Mhm.
I thought it was 2.5 feet.
That's fine. We want to, that's
That's more
probably,
than you just asked for, so I guess that shouldn't be a
let
problem.
me clarify. I think ultimately it will be 2'4", but we wanted to be sure in case something
All right.
widened the pier. So we did request 2 feet, 6 inches.
Okay. I think that's the only question I had right now. Okay, unless you have anything else you wanted to add. I'm assuming you've seen the staff report.
I have.
Do you have any issues with it?
I do not. I mean, it
Okay.
recommends that all of the variances be approved.
Okay. All right, with that, then I will turn things over to the public. We'll start with Trey Sheldon, since he wrote the staff report.
Sorry, I just needed to unmute there. Yeah, Scott, I just saw the comment overall on form-based code that of all these large projects I've worked on in the Madisonville area and here in Walnut Hills, most large projects we have encountered some necessary relief, usually due to either lot size or the building width or depth. The form-based code, while it has many very positive qualities for choosing building form and for redeveloping a neighborhood overall, it assumes kind of a blank slate or tabula rasa, as if it's being built on a completely flat plane with no pre-existing infrastructure or block size or whatnot. So every project I've done in Madisonville, for example, needed some kind of relief because the block was already there. Same kind of thing, some kind of instance here. You were dealing with some already existing buildings in all of the other 4 corners of that block. And so the parking had to be kind of centralized, and I think it contributes to the streetscape to do so, and the vibrancy of the neighborhood to have the parking lots back behind in the center of all this development, both existing and proposed. And what that did for this project is essentially make it so that in order to have an egress drive and, as Mr. Gellis just pointed out, a public plaza on the one side of the building, it made the lot size have to be wider than is permitted. And it's very common sense to have that. You have to access the parking lot near there and have pedestrians be able to safely transit back and forth in a nice landscaped plaza. As to the other major variances to the width of the building, this has been long in the making. I mean, the studies for this neighborhood have been going on for years, and it's all coming to fruition in the last several years, and the several years going forward. And I just wanted to point out that on that note, they needed to meet a certain amount of density and a certain amount of affordable housing. And in order to get that in a building without exceeding the 5 stories, it's Mr. Gellis could speak to it more, but I know just enough about the building code to make me dangerous. But you go slightly higher, any higher than this, and you start needing steel frame construction, and it dramatically increases cost. So in order for them to get this number of apartments, they had to have a bit wider building. And that's about all I have to say.
Okay. Is there anybody else that wanted to say anything? No one speaking up. Oh wait, Jason, you just unmuted.
Yeah, Scott, I'll just add kind of some bigger picture from the development team. Jason Shamlin, the Vice President of Mixed Use Development from the Model Group. And this project represents continuation of development investment that we've been doing for 7-8 years in this 1-block corridor that it involves both historic preservation rehab as well as new infill construction, mix of uses, mix of income levels in partnership with the community, really executing broader community plans and visions, as was referenced before, kind of going back as far as the form-based code, community engagement and planning process, reinvestment strategy done by the community, and then our consultant-led engagement process that lasted about a year, engaged a very broad, large residents of the community, ultimately getting to our master site plan that we are now executing on. And so part of this, these requests, these variances are for this particular building so that it fits within the broader plan and the broader, use of mixes and building footprints that are required to maximize the site, as well as some of the other features that have been mentioned, such as public plaza outdoor space, pedestrian activation, et cetera. And so this really fits well within the broader engagement, development, master planning that we've been doing for quite some time. Letters of support from business group, community council, et cetera. Working very close partnership with them, and we're excited to move this forward, come out of the ground later this year.
All right. Anybody else? Everybody's still muted. All right. Jim, did you have anything else you wanted to add, or are you good?
I did have one point, Scott,
Please.
just, it's Trey.
Okay.
I did have a procedural point. Did we all get sworn in?
I did not.
Just since I'm a fellow attorney,
okay,
I just wanted to point that out.
this sometimes happens in court. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, we've heard from Jim, Trey, and Jason. All right, if the three of you could raise your right hand, you swear or affirm that the testimony you just gave was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Yes.
I do.
All right. If I were to make you go through all of that again, Jim, would you change a word you said?
I would not change a word.
Trey, would you change anything?
No, sir.
And Jason?
No.
All right. Very good. My bad on that. My bad. Okay. Well, with that, then I will go ahead and close this hearing out, and I should hopefully have a decision to you within 2 weeks. And Trey, thank you for catching me on my Google.
You're welcome. I hope you would do the same for me.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you.